And we're back. Let's go, guys. Day 3 was a day for me. That was, it's still going on, but what an exciting time, man. After a decent day 1, not my favorite, but I still like the player. Day 2, not for me personally, but day 3, it's like they're going straight off my draft board, man. That was actually so amazing. I feel like they got value with every pick, except maybe like Patrick McMorris is the only one I hadn't watched beforehand. I've not seen one game on him, so I'm gonna wait to like see some more to really judge him. But I'm gonna get film breakdowns out on all these guys. We talked about it on the stream yesterday. Like, would the Dolphins be interested in trading back up? Using a pick from next year, which they did. Usually, I wouldn't be for it, like trading a third, a future third for a fourth like that. But since they're gonna have 3 thirds next year, we're supposed to with the comp picks. I was totally for it, and I watched a ton of Jalen Wright. He was my RB3. I live in Tennessee, literally 20 minutes from Knoxville. I went to all the home games this year. Jalen Wright is like the perfect scheme fit. I'm gonna let some more people get in here before I really start breaking it down. But god damn, if you're here in the chat, let me know. Who is your favorite pick? My favorite pick is Malik Washington. I made a video 2 months ago saying Malik Washington is the biggest steal of the draft, so no bias that he would be a Dolphin. I made it 2 months ago on him. Yeah, so literally Malik Washington and Kamara are the two I've made videos on already before the draft even started. Big fans of them. I called Kamara severely underrated or something like that in that video title. Called Washington the biggest steal, which he was even a bigger steal than I thought, because I thought he'd go in like the 4th or 5th. I thought he'd be in the 4th. I had him as a 3rd round player, and they got him in the 6th, so absolute steal for me. Who Michael Pratt just went. I thought Pratt was one of the better quarterbacks after like Rattler, but he just went now. That was really, really enjoyable. Obviously the Patrick Paul pick wasn't my favorite. We're not going to talk about that. And I did that film breakdown on him if you haven't seen that yet, really breaking down his strengths, weaknesses. But today makes me feel a lot better because I feel like a lot of these guys can be role players. They just took Taj Washington, which I thought is good value. Like Taj Washington in the 7th, like I thought he was like a 5th, 6th type of player. And they got him in the 7th, like he's smart. Like him and Malik are kind of both slot receivers. And if the Dolphins don't add one in free agency, I know they've been talking to OBJ. Like, I think Malik could easily be the 3rd receiver on this team if they don't still add another one. Like, he could fight for that role. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Like, he was one of my favorite prospects overall, so absolutely loved that. Yeah, and then doubling up on edge, I wasn't expecting. But for Kamara, the value was too good there. Like, I feel like at almost every pick, I was like, take Malik Washington. Or I also thought the biggest surprise to me was how far Mahogany fell, but apparently the medicals weren't looking too good, so that's why he was falling. But I was thinking Mahogany or Malik Washington in a lot of those spots. The Jalen Wright pick kind of surprised me because I didn't think they would really prioritize that, but it's such a McDaniel pick, man. Fits perfectly into the scheme, and he's just like, he fits perfectly within the scheme, but he also adds a little bit of size and strength to him because he's still very, very fast, what they look for, but he's just a good ball player. Literally the biggest problem with him is just the scheme that they run in Tennessee. It's very hard to evaluate some of their players because he gets really light boxes, but you can see the vision. He's a home run hitter, has size and power. He can pass protect. And one of my favorite parts about the Jalen Wright pick is I could see Achane, like especially when they go 21 personnel, like being used more in the receiving game next year, which gets me excited. That they have more running power, more guys they can give carries to. Just getting Achane more receptions, I think, would be nice. And then after that, after Jalen Wright, which here's my notes, big play, home run hitter, great burst and speed at good size, vision. The Mike McDaniel pick, obviously, can pass protect, gives the Finns that, speed element that they always like, but he also has the play strength element, and then the Achane stuff I mentioned. Safety is still an issue for me too. Yeah, I saw one game of McMorris, so that's like the one player I'm probably the least confident on that they drafted in day 3. It looked solid enough. Like he looked like a 6th round pick to me. So we'll see how that ends up playing out. Usually a lot of your day 3, sometimes, your day 3 guys don't make the team. We'll see if that ends up happening with him. But yeah, I do think a 3rd safety would be nice. maybe isn't Justin Simmons still out there? Maybe they just go big at Simmons with the money they get on June 1st to get that because they don't. I think they don't have that 3 safety set. That was like, I think that and D tackle were like the things they kind of missed out on this draft, but they prepared for the D tackle one with how many guys they added before. How do you think we address guard for the season? And guard, yeah. Yeah, I'm guessing they said even they talked to some free agent guards beforehand, see how the draft played out. And I think, they probably could have gone in different directions. Just depends how your board falls. Sometimes they went best player available, and they didn't get that guard. So I'm imagining they're going to call like a Dalton Reisner. Be interesting. Yeah, the Iowa punter got drafted literally in the 4th round. I think he got drafted like 2 picks after we traded up and took Jalen Wright. Reminds me of Pacheco. I can see that. I think Pacheco runs a little more like his running style is a little bit different. But yeah, Jalen Wright's just a really good scheme fit. I'm excited to see how he fits in to Miami. And then going into Muhammad Kamara, who I made a video, literally, I think he was the last film breakdown player I made before the draft even happened. Really enjoy him. Even, he has actually some similarities to Chop, who they took. I could see Kamara actually getting some early playing time, depending how Phillips and Chubb come back, but very good athlete. Love his first step. I think he has a pretty good pass rush bag. He has a relentless play style, and you can see from his interview, like, he wants to make these people play. It seems like all the guys they took are pretty high character guys, which is nice. Always nice to see guys that are good teammates, but also want to put in that effort. But he is a very intense player. Good hand usage. Just more of a pass rusher. He was like a sub package pass rusher earlier on in his career. That's like and I have like names highlighted here, like the aqua blue that I thought were Dolphins fits, and they drafted 2 of them, which ended up being Kamara and Malik Washington for me. And then he's a little bit undersized, kind of that same like Chop thing, setting the edge. Chop is more athletic and explosive than him, but I do think Kamara has more of a pass rush bag at this current time. Really good value in the 5th round, in my opinion. Didn't expect him to be there. I thought he was going to be I thought like Jalen Wright, I thought would go in the 3rd. I thought Kamara would go in the 4th, so just good value. I really, really like their day 3 draft. No, I'm about to get to Malik Washington. My absolute guy. Love Malik. And I like the Taj Washington pick in the 7th. That's good value. Both probably slot type players, but yeah, hearing Patrick Paul talk about Miami in the interviews makes me feel better, because like he seems like I'm going to definitely root for the kid, even though it's not my favorite like film, probably my least favorite film that I watched out of the guys we drafted, especially considering where they took him. But he definitely wants to be in Miami, and really, really seemed just like a personable guy. So Dolphins go. McMorris just having because we only really have 2 safeties on the roster right now. Yeah, I was thinking that McMorris does have a decent chance to make the roster, because it's really those 2 and like Elijah Campbell, right? And he's very versatile. We'll get to him in a sec. Yeah, but I just talked about Kamara. I think, talking about some of the weaknesses, because I talked about the strengths. He's a little bit undersized. He could set the edge better. I think, he has a pass rush bag, but sometimes he gets caught really going to his old reliable a little bit too much. I think he can mix it up a little bit more. And then he can be a little over aggressive, but I love his effort. Just a very high level, relentless player that's got a really nice first step to his game. Malik Washington, my favorite pick of the draft so far. Oh, CJ Hansen just went from Holy Cross to the Chiefs. That's a good pick in the 7th. But Malik Washington, my favorite pick the Dolphins made, considering value. I think, he should have gone at least 2 rounds earlier, at least. Just super well-rounded player. Like, he's a little undersized, but I love me some good undersized route runners, which is what he is. When you're an undersized route runner and you play big, which Washington does, he has an insane vertical. He goes up and gets the ball. Like, he has a limited catch radius because he's small, but he can fly up in the air. His body control is insane. He's got one of the most reliable hands in this draft class, which is big for a small receiver. If you have reliable hands, that's what holds a lot of these like small shifty guys back. They're not super reliable at the catch point. And then he also, after the catch, like, he's obviously explosive. He's not as like fast as some of the guys they have on the roster. Obviously, he's a little more quick, I would say, like left to right. But he breaks tackles. He absorbs contact, man, like really, really well for an undersized guy. He one of my favorite players to watch. Tracking, toughness, route running, ball skills. It's all there. Literally, the weaknesses I have are like his size. He's undersized. He has a small catch radius, and he's really like a slot only type of player. But You notice Patrick Ball kind of sounds like a young Chris Greer. Now that you say it, I can kind of hear that. Taj Washington definitely making the team. I think both. I think he does actually have a decent chance. Just thinking about the roster, because after the top two, it wasn't like the Dolphins were super strong at receiver. It also depends if they go out and sign an OBJ still, because they still might want to add a veteran at this point for a year. Yeah, I love Malik Washington. I like both Washington picks. What happened to Minnesota tight end Brevin Spanford? Are you familiar with it? Yeah. I wasn't super high on Brevin Spanford. Bigger body type player. I just didn't love the athleticism. I can see why he's probably still around at this point. The tight end class overall just wasn't that strong, anyways. Like, there's still a lot of tight ends available. Like, I don't even know. I think Jaheim Bell just got drafted, who would have been interesting for the Dolphins. But yeah, there's still some good players out there. We'll see. We'll see how it ends up playing out with UDFAs. I'm excited. I'll probably do a UDFA stream tomorrow after I look through everyone, or maybe the next day or two. We'll see. Yeah, love the Malik Washington pick. Then getting into Patrick McMorris. I heard of McMorris beforehand. I know he played at San Diego State his first 3 or 4 years, and then he transferred to Cal this past year. After we drafted him, I got to watch one game, his game versus Washington, and he looked like a 6th round player to me. So the value seemed pretty normal. Not a pick that I'm mad about. I do think we needed safety. He seems like he plays special teams. I noted the versatility right away. I don't think he's a middle of the field free safety type. I don't think he has that type of athleticism, but he looked pretty comfortable in split field looks, playing in quarters, things like that, playing top down leverage, which is nice. And he also looked pretty comfortable working the slot. I saw him make some plays within the box, playing as a dime linebacker, filling versus the run. He's not afraid of some contact, but he's more of a patient guy. He goes out there. When he was an off man, he played with some good feet. He's a very patient player. He has solid size. I think he was about 6 foot 200, so pretty solid side. Very versatile. Versatility was my favorite thing about his game. He just aligned all over. He ran the alley pretty well. He's willing to get physical. He's not the biggest hitter ever, but he's definitely willing to get involved. Not a special athlete, but can play in the blocks and be a split field guy, do some stuff in the slot, which is important. And he just seemed very comfortable, smooth in his pedal, that stuff. But yeah, not a bad pick. Probably out of the day 3 ones, the one I knew the least about, so I'm not gonna, give my full thoughts. I'll do a film breakdown on all these guys after the fact. I'm gonna do film on everybody. I'll probably start with Jalen Wright and then go down the line. I have videos out there already on Kamara and Malik Washington. I'll probably do another one on Malik for sure, because I didn't do all 22 with the last video, and I really like that pick. And that video was 2 months ago. Kamara, I might do another one if I find more clips and really focus on Miami Dolphins. Our only weakness is punter. Is Garrett Greenfield available? From South Dakota State? I don't remember seeing his name because I've been watching the draft, but I feel like I missed a couple in this 7th round. Because he'd be a UDFA I'm interested in. Maybe some of the Washington tight ends. I like both of them, and they want to go in that direction at tight end. I think the Michigan edges are available, which would be interesting. I think there's some safeties still available. I think they could bring in I don't remember if Braid got picked. Millard Bradford, who they brought in. I don't think the Murphy twins got picked, right? Unless I missed it. The Murphy twins at edge are interesting UDFAs. I feel like they should have got drafted. At least Gabriel. Oh yeah, Jalen Coker, good shout. That's who I thought. I thought when I was in the 7th round and they took Taj Washington, I thought because once you get to the 7th, you could take really any position, double down. I was thinking they could go anywhere really at the 7th round, and I was thinking Coker's available. That wouldn't be that bad. Oh, Leonard Taylor, yeah, a D tackle. I was gonna say CJ Hansen, but I think he just got drafted. So, and then 7th round, Taj Washington. Really, to me, Taj Washington was the best player on our best receiver on USC last year. Better than Brendan Rice, who both got taken in the 7th round. I'm pretty sure. Taj was Mr. Reliable for Caleb out there. Very smart slot receiver. He's undersized as well, so they love bringing in those undersized guys. He's kind of just a less athletic Malik Washington who they brought in, but he makes plays on all 3 levels. He can make plays down the field, makes a lot of tough catches, and I thought he was the best wide receiver on that team. I'm going to do a full deep dive. I pulled up film on him. I've definitely seen him play, but I just need to see even more on him. But I'm definitely really comfortable with Malik Washington and Kamara. I watched a lot of them. And obviously, I watched a lot of Chop and Patrick Paul now too, which I watched them beforehand. And then Jalen Wright, I've seen him play. I saw him play almost every home. I saw him play every home game live last year, and I watched his film. I thought it was RB3. Yeah, Taj. Would you be interested in getting? I mean, to his brother. I mean, if they bring him in as UDFA, I'm not gonna be like mad, but I mean, it almost feels it's basically nepotism. It feels like just Can T. Washington take Barrett's roster spot, or why was your back end starting paying attention? I think it's possible, but I feel like it just depends because they have a lot. Like Barrios last year was actually a very valuable returner. Like he didn't have any like crazy plays, but he got his job done. Like he usually would catch a punt, get forward. Like he didn't have any negative plays at the returner spot. So it just depends. Like if they feel comfortable putting other people at the return position. I think if Barrios wins like if they want to the return stuff is kind of where I think he has a pretty good chance of making the roster for Barrios. But thinking about it, like Ezukanma, obviously, will probably make it. Craycraft will be fighting for a spot. I think Malik Washington has a good shot of making it, and we'll see if they even add people. So I don't know. I don't want to guarantee. I think like the last couple picks are not guaranteed to make the roster, but they always have a chance. Plus, they could also be practice squad guys. Yeah, easy. I could see a surprise easy cut if there's a Helston issue. It wouldn't necessarily surprise me if that happened. I do think he'll make it. Talk to me about Patrick Morris. Yeah, I talked about him a little bit earlier, but I'll get you. So I've only watched one game, so he's the guy I'm probably the least confident in. But from the game I saw, he looked like about a 6-rounder. Off-man, good feet, patient player, solid size. Versatility really stands out. He played split field, in the box, down in the slot. Understood leverage. He could fill versus the run. Not like a special athlete or anything, but I do think he could be like a special teams guy for you. Oh yeah, one of the Michigan edges just went Jalen Harrell, who I thought could have been an interesting UDFA guy to bring in. But I'll definitely do a video on Mick Morris. Is DJ James still available from Auburn? That would be a nice pickup. What running backs are still available? I feel like there's a lot of running backs they could add to fight potentially. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed day 3. Definitely my favorite day from the draft. Like I would say day 1 was solid. Like I like Chop Robinson. A tiny bit of a reach for me. And I think the most disappointing thing about day 1 is that Fatanu went 1 pick for the Dolphins. That was like the most disappointing thing. Day 2, I didn't want Patrick Paul. I just still think there was better picks. So that was probably the worst day for me. And they didn't pick in round 3. But today, it felt like they were just picking right off my draft board. Because, I mean, they traded for Jalen Wright, which was a little surprised me. I didn't guess that one. But that was really nice to see it. And there were some other, I was hoping for Malik Washington pretty much at any point. I thought Kamara was, usually, I thought in that 5th round, I was thinking it was either going to be like Malik Washington, Kamara, or Mahogany. But apparently Mahogany has the injury stuff. And it ended up being Kamara, so that was another good pick that I enjoyed. Definitely felt like they got my guys today, which is great. Does not getting a decent interior line bother you? Yeah, I can understand why, I just think with how the board played out, to me, like, with how the board played out, I thought the only real option would have been the 2nd round pick. Like, if they went interior O-line in the 2nd instead of Patrick Paul, that would be like the one time. But every other spot in the draft, I understand why they went with the other players. Definitely made sense. Didn't seem like interior line was the best spot on the board. But yeah, because after the 2nd round, I don't think you were going to really add anyone. Most likely with the picks they had, that probably would have even started or made like an immediate impact. Because I think the reason it doesn't bother me as much as some probably other Dolphins fans, because when I watched the film for the Dolphins interior line last year, they get helped out a lot. Like the scheme is so friendly and Barry, I think, can help improve all of them. But I also think the scheme and with how quick Tua gets rid of the ball, it definitely helped out those guys a lot. I just don't think they value it as much, and we'll see. I think I wouldn't judge it completely yet until we see what they do after the draft, because they're going to get some cap space here, and I imagine they're going to sign some guys because they got some solid players here in this draft that I think. I don't know if they got any like full-time starter contributor stars right away, but I think they got some nice potential players and guys who will be solid role players for them, like for sure. Don Johnson with the $5. Let's go. I think they should. It's called a super chat, right? Okay, yeah. I think they should put Patrick Paul at right tackle and Austin Jackson at right guard. I don't know if I agree, but I could. Like thinking about him, like I just don't know if Paul's ready. Like I actually think I've suggested in the past that Jackson could be a better guard, but it is nice. I don't really want to move Jackson just because he finally had his breakout year. So and having his breakout year at right tackle, kind of want to keep him there comfortable. And then I do think Paul could play right tackle. He might even be a better right tackle than left tackle. Wouldn't surprise me. But I just don't know if Paul will be ready year one. Kalen King would be interesting. He had a down year in 2023, but he has some good 2022 tape. If he's available, I don't mind bringing guys like that in on the UDFA. Garrett Greenfield still available? Yeah, that would be a UDFA target for sure. Good scheme fit, smart player. And I could see him he would be a UDFA if they brought him in. I could see making the roster. And it does feel like that would be the case. Austin Jackson is weak for a guard. Yeah, I would say Jackson does play with a nastiness though to his game. Like in the run, he's definitely at his best like in the running game. I could see him playing guard specifically in Miami. I think there was other schemes he probably wouldn't be able to play guard. But in Miami, they do have some guards who aren't the most powerful. But he is a right tackle, and I wouldn't move him. But I don't mind the idea of like trying to get your best 5 on the field, but you also want to keep your guys comfortable. So we'll see how it plays out. I mean, Armstead's going to be your left tackle. You definitely have depth at tackle now. You have your Kendall Lamb for another year. You have Patrick Paul with some depth. Even Keon Smith, if he makes the team again, he's a good, I think, depth guy at the tackle position. And then guard, I think the guard guys are good depth players, but we'll see who ends up starting. Like Wynn was solid for us when healthy last year. I think Driscoll was a solid adding. We'll see if he even improves even more within the Dolphins scheme. And I think Robert Jones can be a guy that can, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if he had to start this year. But yeah, they could also sign like a Reisner. And I believe, did Reisner play left or right? I can't remember off the top of my head, but realistically, a lot of these guys can play on the both sides. You need Armstead to stay healthy, but he's your starter left tackle. Brewer's your starting center. Jackson will be your starting right tackle, and it's just the guards I could see going in multiple different ways. Robert Jones I could see starting. I could see Driscoll starting. I could see Wynn starting. I could even see Liam starting, but probably not. Liam's more of a depth guy. And then D tackles like the other position where they don't have like Kalen King just went to the Packers. You think they're going to cut a lot of the D tackles we signed? We went heavy on D line in the draft. I think they're going to have like the D tackles that I expect to make the team, at least with what they currently have on the roster right now, are obviously Sealer, Tier Tart. I'm guessing Benito Jones, Jonathan Harris, and Neville Gallimore. That would be the 5, I guess, for make it. If they want to keep more than that, we'll see how it ends up working out. Because I know they added other guys like it was like Nixon and another name who was like a lower level guy. But those would be the 5, I guess, like kind of are in a rotation after Sealer obviously the main starter and the other guys kind of rotating a lot. Yes, love me some Mo Kamara, man. He is a steal. Severely underrated. We'll see who Mr. Irrelevant ends up being here. But yeah, Kamara, really nice first step, good pass rush back, relentless play style. I love the interview and him being like, I'm going to make everyone pay. I love that mentality. I love that mindset for him. And just clearly an intense player, knows how to use his hands. I could see him as a sub-package rusher. I think he's going to play some this year. He'll be more of a sub-package guy. But you got to imagine early on, if Phillips and Chubb aren't back, and even if they are back, I don't know if they're going to play full time. There's probably going to be more of a rotation. You're going to see a lot of Shaq Barrett, obviously, and then you're going to see a lot of Chop. And then after that, I think you're going to see some snaps for Kamara fairly early. And then once Phillips and Chubb are back fully healthy, you probably won't see as many many opportunities. I do think he'll play some this next year. Benito Jones is not him. I'm hoping Start steps up. I don't think Benito Jones is anything like special, but I do think he can be a part of a rotation. Like he started games last year for the Lions, and the Dolphins don't really have like after Sealer, they don't really have any like for sure starters. Like I think Tart will be the starter. He definitely is the best of the bunch. But after that, like it could go anyways. Like I have my problems with Gallimore's film. Jonathan Harris has some versatility. He's interesting though. Yeah, I love his mindset. Armstead, Wynn, Brewer, Reisner, AJ is what I'm anticipating. That's not a bad guess because Wynn was the starter last year, so I feel like if I had to guess out of the guys on the roster, Wynn probably has the best chance of starting. If he's healthy, that's like the biggest thing for him is the health. And then after that, right guard could be anyone. They could bring in someone like Reisner, and that would be like I feel like the go-to guy of what they're thinking. But then it wouldn't surprise me if it was Driscoll or Robert Jones either. Hart is going to be better than Davis. If you're talking about Raekwon Davis, I agree. Because I was not a big Raekwon guy. AVG was like a 4th round pick, I'm pretty sure, my man. Lions have one of the worst defenses in the NFL, though, and stopped the run was a big issue why they paid DJ Reader. Oh, yeah, I'm not trying to say like Benito Jones is some some stud, but like if you're getting starter level snaps, like the next year, you know, you go into like a rotation. I don't think he's going to start for us, but he started just last year for the Lions in many games, and there's some plays where he was all right on the film, and we just don't have bodies after the top 2 guys. So if I had to guess, I think he is a part of the 5-man rotation. Yeah, last pick, the Jets. Who are they going to take? Man, I'm excited to really dig into the film on all these guys too. Get the film breakdowns. Definitely going to do Jalen Wright tomorrow, and then just keep pumping them out one day at a time. On draft, we draft 5A. Okay. I disagree. He plays bigger than his size. And it was a 6th round pick. Yeah. Who was your guys' favorite pick? Favorite pick, value wise, overall? Yeah, Weaver scheme will be very, very important. I think the guys they brought in at edge are very good scheme fits, just thinking of what was done in Baltimore. And that's kind of the thing is Baltimore did a very good job of scheming up pressures with the twists, the stunts, the blitzes. So I'm imagining they're going to use a big rotation, keep their D tackles fresh. They have a lot of edge defenders now that they can rotate in and out to keep fresh, and it'll be nice to see how it ends up going. Yeah, Jalen Wright. If you didn't hear, I talked about Jalen Wright right at the start, but yes, I live in Tennessee. I went to all of the Tennessee home games for work, actually. So I've seen Jalen Wright play a ton, and he is the biggest Mike McDaniel pick since, you know, like Achane was, exactly fits what they want to do within their scheme. He's a home run hitter, has that speed. Like he ran like 23 miles per hour multiple times. Guy absolutely moves, but he also has some size, strength, and power to him, which is nice. Like I don't think he's as shifty as like an Achane, but he definitely can run in a straight line very fast, which fits within the scheme of the offense, but also brings a little more power and strength, which I think, you know, the team can use at the running back position. He'll be like your Raheem Mostert replacement after, you know, Raheem leaves the team within, you know, a year or two or whatever it ends up being. And I just like what he can also pass protect, good vision, burst, all of those things. And it just makes me feel, I like to see what they're going to do with Devon Achane, because I think they're going to use a lot of 21, and I think they're going to start using him in more receiver roles at time too, and that's going to be awesome. The biggest problem with him is there's like the projection when it comes to Jalen Wright, because the Tennessee offensive scheme is ridiculous. It's like sometimes they would face like 4, 5, 6 man boxes, which are super, super light. But But when Jalen Wright had the chance, he was hitting big plays. The Washingtons were great value. I agree. Malik Washington was my favorite pick. Jalen Key is Mr. Irrelevant. Jeff Wilson, odd man out, or Savon Ahmed? I think they both could be gone, right? Like, let me think about it. So we have Mostert, Achane. They traded basically a third next year to get Jalen Wright. Like, I would say he's pretty locked to make the team. I'd be pretty surprised if he didn't. So those three. And then I feel like that 4 spot, because they'll probably keep 4 running backs. That's what they usually do. The 4 spot's going to be between, in my opinion, Chris Brooks and Jeff Wilson. But I'm pretty sure Jeff Wilson took a pay cut, but he also got like guaranteed money. So cutting him might be difficult. But they'll probably be the ones fighting for a spot if I had to guess. I would say Ahmed would be gone. Our O-line is 33 and injury prone. Achane was it right? Brooks, Ingold. Yeah, it's either going to be Brooks or Wilson. I would actually prefer to keep Brooks because I like what I saw from Brooks last year. And I think he can give you some of what Wilson brought to your team, even though, Wilson brings some good energy. And I wouldn't be mad if they kept him, but I would prefer to keep Brooks as being younger and, having a little more upside to him. Nice hat. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we kept 5 running backs last year. I remember that that's because they wanted to keep Brooks. But then after that, then they put Jeff Wilson on IR, but they had to make him make the roster first. And then they put him on IR, and then they swapped the roster back around. So it was basically like they kept 4. Like initially they kept 5, but Wilson went on IR like shortly after that. See, I understand if you want to draft big receivers, but guys, the small receivers they drafted at the point in the draft, great value. You can't be mad with it. I get what people want, but sometimes you just got to do it how the board falls. You get Malik Washington in the 6th, that's an absolute steal. Plus he plays big. Both of the receivers they drafted play bigger than their size. Like, they make tough catches, which I love. Like, Malik Washington, I think is one of the best in this draft at like absorbing contact. And I think he had one of the, like, his catch rate, like percentage, like drop percentage, like his catch rate was super high. And I think his drop percentage was like one of the lowest out of the receivers in the class. Yeah, Malik Washington over Johnny Wilson. Like if they drafted Johnny Wilson, like I would have been like, okay, fine. But like Malik Washington is just a better player, even though Johnny Wilson's 6'7". Yeah. Yeah, like I think Malik Washington's vertical was like 42.5, which is insanity. And then Taj, who's not going to be as explosive as the smaller receivers that Dolphins have on the team. He goes out there and makes tough catches at all 3 levels. He's just a very smart guy. Ryder, what is your snap judgment grade for the draft overall? Okay, let me think about this. I would have said after round 1, I probably would have said Chop was like a B- after I like really watched and processed it all. Then when they drafted Patrick Paul, it probably would have brought it down to like a C- for me. Personally, I'm not a big Patrick Paul guy, like considering those two. But after today, probably would bring it back up to like a B. Like a B. Because I don't think they got any like for sure fire. Like they would have been an A if they got at least one that I was like, bro, that is an absolute stud who's going to start for you day 1 and change that group. But I don't think they got one of those types of players. So I would say like a B. Because of just how day 3 really brings it up. I like Chop Robinson. Patrick Paul brings it down. Yeah, Malik Washington can separate. He can run after the catch. He can make tough catches. He can do it all. Yeah, like you're not going to find those bigger wide receivers who are as good as Malik Washington, as running routes, or as good after the catch in that round. Yeah, and Persol and Leggett went early. They went in the first round, 31 and 32, and I feel like those would have been guys they would have definitely heavily considered at 55 if they made it there. But sometimes that's just how the board falls. Yeah, really, really enjoyed this draft, guys. Day 3 specifically. I'm surprised Christian Mahogany fell so far. Like I was thinking, like wow, I thought Mahogany was like a round 3 player. But apparently it has to do with like he has some serious injuries. He went to the Lions pretty late here, so well his film is really good. I mean, good for them. He would have been like the interior line I was considering about those spots, but you never know. We're not doing the medicals on these guys, and we'll see how UDFAs play out. It probably will start happening very soon. I'm sure I won't know a bunch of the UDFAs, or at least haven't seen them play, and then I'll do like some film study on those guys too. Our big boy receiving threat is Johnny Smith. Yeah, I like the physicality Johnny Smith brings. They don't really have any like I guess Ezu Kanma would be like the only one who's like a bigger body and who can make some like a bigger body that can win in contested situations. Because Johnny Smith is a bigger body, but he's more of like his yak is where he'll beat you. I guess maybe if they want to keep like a Jody Fortson, he kind of could be like a red zone threat, like a bigger body red zone threat. I feel like that's why they kind of brought him in. We'll see if he ends up making it though. Oh yeah, Robbie Miller just said Jody Fortson. you you probably even typed that before I said it because I think there's a delay. Yeah, I haven't seen any UDFAs yet. I'm not on Twitter right now, so if you guys see UDFAs, let me know, and then we'll see if I've actually watched them or not. Yeah, it doesn't surprise. The Dolphins were trying to move back into the first. My guess would have been for Worthy or Guyton, and then if not for them, I don't know who they were potentially targeting. But I really like, wouldn't have like been my like the first and second round picks wouldn't have been my top choice. I like the chop pick though, and then Patrick Paul and whatever, and then day 3, like a lot of those guys were like some of my top players at the position, or like they were really good values in those rounds. So I love the value picks on day 3 because I think a lot of them can play roles. I think Malik Washington can play a role in year 1. I think Jalen Wright will get some touches on the team, especially with injuries, things that could happen. They really, they added Kamara. The Dolphins were absolutely devastated at those positions at certain points in the year. So draft grade overall, yeah, I kind of explained my thought process. I was saying a B overall. I was thinking like a B minus just from day 1. Day 2 brought it down to like a C minus, and then I would say day 3 brought it back up to like a B. Yeah, you got to think of like the Dolphins offense specifically. It's more, it's very timing based offense. It just feels like if they had like a bigger body red zone threat, it's just that's like what they would need. But it'd be a very situational player. Like think about what Gesicki was in this offense. He didn't fit most of the scheme, but like sometimes he'd make a big catch in the red zone. But other than that, like he was a horrible fit for the scheme. So they need to find. It's tough to find a player that exactly fits like that. Holker get drafted? I don't think so. I don't remember seeing him get drafted, but he would be an interesting tight end, like a receiving threat tight end. That if they wanted to bring someone in like that, like a bigger body. Yeah, I like. Yeah, Gesicki couldn't block. Like I didn't like Gesicki's fit in this offense, like at all. So I was definitely okay when they let him go. Like that type of player just isn't really needed. It's like very situational that player is needed within the Dolphins offense, and it wasn't worth it keeping him on that contract for how little usage he would get. I guess I wonder if they will sign Tua's brother as a UDFA. That'd be pretty funny. Yeah, B draft grade. That's what I was saying. Overall, agreed. Because I think what they didn't really get any like for sure like starters that I'm like, oh, that guy's gonna start and contribute and play a bunch of snaps and be really good. I think there's gonna be guys that we potentially missed out on, but so would you rather start Liam or Robert? I'd rather start Robert Jones. Plus, we'll see how the rest of post draft plays out. We'll see some UDFAs come in, And if you look at, the Dolphins have had some UDFAs make the teams. And last year, Chris Brooks made the team. Julian Hill made the team. Both saw some playing time. Also, like, Peely made the team for a little bit and then got cut. Kohu has played crazy amounts of snaps the past 2 years. Had a really good rookie year. Had a down year last year, but he was a UDFA just 2 years ago. Miami signed O-line Andrew Mayer from UTEP. Okay, interesting. I like them bringing in O-line. I don't think I've seen him play, but I will definitely look into it. Eagles did have a good draft. They got steals with Kenyon and DeJean. Especially at those points in the draft. Yep, I think, we definitely, the fam, we stole Kamara, even though it wasn't needed. I agree. Doesn't surprise me you double down sometimes at those positions. Like, you obviously took Chop Robinson in round 1. Sometimes you just double down. You're there in the 5th round. You take the best value, man. And Muhammad Kamara was a great pick at that point. To me, he should have gone at least a whole round earlier. So. Eagles GM is my spirit animal. Yeah, I find the Ravens... Typically, every year, I'm like, I see the Ravens draft and I'm like, oh yeah, that's who I would have taken. Oh, yep, that's who I would have taken. Steelers were kind of like that this year. The Steelers kept taking a lot of the people I know Dolphins fans wanted. What about Robert Hayes? We should put him at right guard. Talking about Ryan Hayes, maybe? The Michigan guy? I mean, we'll see. I don't know. I feel like the guard position, they have a lot of bodies, and I feel like it could go in so many different directions. And I still feel that they could add in free agency. I still feel like my most likely positions of the Salata are guard, obviously. I think safety, with how the draft played out, like they drafted McMorris, but I do feel like they could still use a third safety who will play significant snaps, and they don't really have that on the roster right now. So guard, safety. They added so many D tackles. I don't know if they're going to still add more D tackles just to be like depth guys on this roster. And then maybe I could still see them adding like an Odell. Because even though they got 2 receivers in this draft, they were both late. And I don't know if they're going to trust rookies to be like that third guy on the team, potentially. Yeah, Greer killed it today, man. I feel like Greer was just like if Greer was shooting me texts on who to draft, I probably would have said the names that he ended up taking. So he was cooking today. At least it was what some guys I liked. Dallas got the best draft. Who'd Dallas get? Dallas traded back, got guy in. They took Nealand, right? They also took the linebacker from Notre Dame. I know that. Off the top of my head. Oh, they got Cooper Beebe, which is a good pick in the 3rd. I remember that. I think they also got a steal with Carson at the point they got him in the draft. It's not a bad draft for sure. Yeah, they brought in a lot of bodies at guard and defensive tackle, and I think what people wanted to add at those positions, and I understand it. And I think they would have in the draft if a guard or a defensive tackle was like the best player available at that position. But I think they were comfortable with how much bodies they added, and I feel like on both sides of the ball, I feel like those are the ones the coaches probably feel most comfortable that they can help with scheme. They can protect with how much we slide protection on offense to help the guards in pass protection, how quickly Tua gets rid of the ball, helps out the guards in pass protections. Also, the running game is very scheme friendly. And I also think from Weaver, as a defensive line coach, where he comes from, and from Baltimore, they use a big rotation and they help scheme up pressure all the time and help defensive linemen get free runs at the quarterback. So I feel like those were the positions they probably felt the most comfortable that they could help help schematically. So, yep. Like me some Jalen Wright. Jalen Wright is a big body. Like, Jalen Wright has some Mostert to it, like a young Mostert to his game, honestly. Like, good size and, lots of speed, vision. That Tennessee offense was weird, though, but he goes out there and pass protects. Definitely will, take some hits, bounce off people. Yeah. I have names, a lot of names here that were like in Aqua, right, that I thought would be good Dolphins fits. It was probably like 20 or so names on my draft board that I thought like, oh, these could be Dolphins. And the Dolphins got 2 of them. 2 of their draft picks were highlighted in blue, and that was Mo Kamara and Malik Washington. And I thought Kamara was a decent chance of being the Dolphin before the weekend. after they drafted Chop and like where they picked, I was like, oh, Kamara probably won't be a Dolphin, but then he somehow fell to the 5th and they still took him. Love that. And then Malik, I had him highlighted just because I love him as a player and I thought he was a good scheme fit. But then he fell to the 6th and I was shocked. And I'm like, wow, they got him too. Hey, running back that can block is awesome. Yeah. I know people wanted a guy that can, potentially work short yardage. I think Wright has some, decent short yardage ability to him while also, still being a very, very fast and explosive home run type guy. And then you have that to mix with Achane. It's a very, and Mostert, it's a very exciting running back room. And they added receivers, which is great. They ran a lot of 21 personnel last year, and I feel like they're still going to run a lot of 21. But I think, you're going to see a lot of 11 now because, they have guys that can be that slot position because you can move Tyreek and Waddle can both play slot, but they can obviously both play outside. Now, if you want to, put Malik Washington, Taj Washington, even in the 7th, is a slot type guy. They obviously have other people on the roster that can play within the slot. So hitting more 11 personnel will be nice to mix things up. Yeah, this draft was filled with talent, man. There was like, I feel like usually I usually know a lot of the names, but there's usually by like the 6th round, like if the Dolphins have draft people, I'd be like, I don't really love anyone here. They'd be like, oh, there's a guy. I'd be like, oh, they took him. I like that. I think it's decent value. But like when they were getting to like the 6th, the 5th and 6th, I'm like, there's multiple people here who I thought were like absolute studs. This draft class ended up, being pretty good. So really, really like that. They definitely like the players at the Shrine Bowl, yeah. And Malik Washington was probably the best player at the Shrine Bowl. I'm pretty sure, like, Jacob Cowing. I thought Jacob Cowing and Malik Washington were very similar players. And I didn't Cowing go in, like, the 4th to the Niners? I know he went to the Niners, but was it the 4th round? And Malik went, like, basically 2 rounds later than him, which is insane, because they were very similar level players to me, and I loved both of them. It didn't surprise me Cowing went to the Niners, since they run a very, basically the same offensive scheme as the Dolphins. Yeah. Dolphins can definitely run it up. They can do it in so many different ways. He's sold with the super chat, dude. Love that, man. How about a video comparing our drafts to the Bills, Jets, and Pats in your draft grades? Did we get better versus division or worse? Oh yeah, that's an interesting idea. I might just do that, like maybe not as a video, but as a stream. Because I think, those types of videos are probably easier to just do as a stream because then we can talk about it too and people can ask stuff. And then like the videos I like to use like the film breakdowns, really cut that up. But that's a good idea. I might do a video stream, look at their drafts. I feel like the Bills, because I was like, looking at all the people I made videos on. I think the Bills drafted a lot of people I made videos on. I know they got Cole Bishop, who I liked, but I don't know if I loved the rest of their draft. Who the Jets took? I know the Jets took Corley. They took Fashanu in the 1st. The Patriots. I remember the Patriots having one pick that I thought was really good. And I can't remember who it is now, but there was one pick I was liked. But they also took Joe Milton, and that's not a good pick. You guys are going to love Jay, right? Yeah, I mean, as someone who went to every Tennessee game last year, all the home games, I've seen a lot of Jalen Wright, and that's like the perfect fit for him. And like for him to excel at the next level, going to the Dolphins, going with Mike McDaniel is just absolutely great for him. And yeah, and I like what he brings to the team because he brings a lot of the same of what they have, but he also brings some, a slightly different skill set that I think they needed. Eagles traded a lot, yeah. I like how the Eagles, I would have been totally, like, in a lot of situations, I would have done what the Eagles done, get a 3rd next year for a 4th this year. Like, I like that value. I would do that in a lot of situations. But I like that the Dolphins did it this year, considering, the lack of draft picks they have. And then next year, they were going to have 3 third-round picks. I don't mind with what they did. And they got their guy. Oh, yeah, it was Javon Baker. Good shout for the Patriots. That's who was the guy. I was like, wow, they actually drafted a good receiver in a good value spot. Because some of the receivers fell farther than I thought they should, and I think Baker was one of them. I was like, dude, Baker might be one of the best receivers on that team already. Yeah, there was a lot of decent drafts. I'd have to look through at everyone, obviously. Like, I don't know everyone's full draft off the top of my head. I remember a lot of people's early round picks, and I watched the whole draft today. But, there were so many picks today, I can't remember everyone that was, like, great. Yeah, Wright can do some short yardage stuff. I also think, Raheem is a pretty decent short yardage back, considering how many short yardage touchdowns he had last year. I just think it was, like, when they did run short yardage with Raheem, they actually converted quite a bit. It just was, like, it was more on McDaniel's willingness to run on short yardage. Because I know people have had that problem with the Dolphins' short yardage stuff, but I think it was more to do with the opportunities their guys were given. Big tackles, so they've gone after some O-line and as UDFA so far. That's interesting. I will be excited to check those guys out. Hopefully I have film on those guys. Detroit had a good draft. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, they had. I remember the two corners they took. They took Arnold and Rakestraw, right, for their first two. Good picks at those spots. Both dogs. Rams did great. Steelers did great. Yeah, Steelers did good. I'd have to be reminded of the Rams picks, but I do remember some of them. And I remember, who did I just see that they? Oh, they took Jared Verse, Braden Fisk. Yeah, the Florida State guys. That was fun. They took Corum, which was, they're kind of going the Dolphins route of getting a lot of the same types of running backs because Blake Corum is like a Kyron Williams type. But though, their running backs are actually not the same as the Dolphins, but they went with getting similar types though for their team. Aaron Matos, South Florida. Okay, I haven't heard of these guys yet. The Mayor's UTEP center, not tackle. Okay, I think I've seen these names, but I have not watched either of them. So I will definitely check them out, get their film going. Probably do that. After I do a film breakdown on all the guys they've drafted, I will start getting to the UDFA guys. Yeah, Jordan Travis went to the Jets. Yeah, and the Patriots also took a quarterback with Joe Milton and Drake May, obviously. But yeah, wow. This was a fun day, man. Day 3 is exciting when you have a bunch of picks. Usually day 2 is my favorite. Obviously this year they only had one pick and they didn't take a guy I really loved. But usually I feel like day 2 is one of my favorites. I'm like, dude, you can still get there's still some good value on the board, good players. And I feel like you get, 2 guys that can potentially contribute to your team usually. But day 3 was really, really fun this year. Matos is 6'9", dude. They're just bringing in these huge tackles. Because Patrick Paul is basically 6'8", right? He's like almost 6'8". Honestly, it's too tall though. I think once you get past 6'7", it's too much, man. You have to be really in control of your body. And it's also such a leverage game. You're limited to tackle. You can't play inside at that height. I think Rachel Mayer pre-draft wasn't selected. Did he? I just remember hearing that Greer at the Senior Bowl was talking to Patrick Paul, and I was just hoping it was smokescreen. Also, yeah, oh yeah, and I remember the Jatavion Sanders thing. Thank God, ended up being smokescreen. He went early today. Was he the first pick in round 4 or the second pick? He was one of the first picks. But that's probably, I had him as a late 3rd round guy, so that ended up being pretty accurate to where he ended up going in this draft. Yeah, pretty good draft. Because I remember reading that some after the 50th pick, the top 40 to 50. I think it was Jeremiah that said it. That after teams were very they agreed who the top 40 to 50 guys were, but after that they thought some teams would have 6th-round grades on guys who went in the 2nd round, which is crazy. The variance in this draft after that pick, and it looked like Malik Washington. I feel is one of those guys that I would not be surprised if the Dolphins had a higher grade on Malik Washington than where he went, a much higher grade. Because also same with Kamara, because they took Kamara over Washington because they were both there at that point in the 5th. I wouldn't be surprised if they were damn, we did not expect these guys to be here. Yeah, he played basketball. That at 6'9", that doesn't surprise me. I heard the Bills let a fan pick one of their spots. Who did they take? A fan actually picked. I know they announced. I think they had a fan announce it. Like the Dolphins had a fan announce the Jalen Wright pick, right? Damn, fun day though. So much better. Feel much more comfortable about comfortable with the draft now that day 3 has come. I probably should have streamed my whole reaction to it, but I mean, it just was such a long day. I don't know, but just know my reactions to these picks were much happier. And the Malik Washington pick got like a big reaction out of me. The other ones, I was like, oh, nice. I was like, the Jalen Wright pick was like, oh, I was like a little surprised, like, cool, nice. That's not who I was expecting they were trading up for. I was like, but I like it. Kamara, I was like, yes, absolute great pick. Double down at edge. I don't mind it at all. And the Malik Washington, I was like throwing my hands up, jumping up and down. The Patrick Morris one, I was like, well, I haven't seen him yet, so I don't know. I'm excited to watch his film. Seen one game, and there's some decent stuff there. Not bad. 6th round pick. Yeah. What do you think of Patrick Morris? Yeah, I'll say my notes. I've only seen one game. It was the Washington game. That's all I had all 22 on. It was some like off man. He can play some off man. Has some good feet there. He's very patient. Stays square. Technically sound. I thought versatility really stood out because he aligned all over and played in multiple different spots. I think he can play as a split field safety and do well. I think he can do some stuff in the slot and can also play down in the block box. Potentially like a special teams guy. He'll be a special teams guy if he makes the roster. Not like a super special athlete or anything like that, but he's willing to get physical, get involved in the running game. But yeah, from the one game I watched, I thought it was a decent enough for a 6th round guy. Mark Perry from TCU safety signed. Also, the other TCU safety signed because I know they showed interest in Millard Bradford, so they took Perry. Leonard Taylor went undrafted. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. He was a very inconsistent watch. I wonder if they're gonna bring in guys like an Evan Anderson because I know they visited with him at one point. And he's a D tackle that is like a good run stopping one tech. So I thought that could be interesting. I don't think he went. Did Fabian Lovett go? He's another guy that's similar like that. That would be an interesting grab at the D tackle position. But there's still some names here that, at least on my list, that I don't think got drafted. Because once I started, I've been like, putting colors on each box, like the reading it out, like the players that got drafted. But once we got to like the 6th, 7th round, I stopped doing that because it was a lot of effort. But I was like keeping track in my head. Yeah, I love it from Florida State. Just big body, can do some stuff versus the run. I don't mind adding guys like that. The one nose tackle guys, like I don't think they're super, huge positions, like premium positions that you want to send like premium picks on. But you can definitely use some UDFA spots on those guys for sure. I feel like you can probably get a guy that could play. Yeah. Really, really, really enjoyed day 3. Anyone else have any other questions? No, because that was a great day. Overall draft, probably would say B. Feel pretty good about it. I think Chop Robinson could be an absolute stud. I like the pick. It was a slight reach for me, but I don't hate it. The Patrick Paul one for me is like just a pick I wasn't about. I just don't think he's an upside developmental guy, kind of like the Chop pick. But to me, Chop has insane upside. To me, Paul's not he's a decent athlete for his size. The reason you have to be an elite athlete if you're that raw, like technically wise, like to really take that next step. And to me, if he ever does figure it all out, with his hands and stuff, I don't know if he'll ever be a super great player. I think he could be decent at best. Jalen Coker, yeah. Jalen Coker is someone I would have considered in the 7th, but I imagine they're probably not, after taking Taj and Malik, they're probably not I bet top UDFA receivers probably don't want to go to the Dolphins with, those other younger guys that were drafted. Miles Murphy. That's well, you might be thinking of Miles Murphy from last year in the draft. There's a Miles Murphy in this draft that's D tackle from North Carolina, I believe. Yeah, he's another run stuffer type. Very similar to the other guys like Lovett and Evan Anderson, like limited like pass rushing and limited production, but he can hold his own, like stout at the point of attack. But there was another Miles Murphy last year. I think his name's Miles Murphy that got picked from Clemson, if I'm not mistaken. Trading up to the fourth, was there anyone you saw that we could have gotten? Honestly, a lot of the guys I thought we were like trading up for in the fourth were like some guys that ended up going much later anyways. Like I thought Mahogany could have been an option, but apparently Mahogany fell because of the injury. I was even thinking like guys like I don't remember if Cowing was there or yet, but like I was thinking like maybe they go receiver and they go like a Cowing or a Malik Washington. They got Washington later. I was even thinking Kamara, who they got later. So I can't remember who else. There was definitely other names that I was thinking that they could go after, but I don't remember who was available off the top of my head at that time. But Jalen Wright was good value because I thought Wright was like a third round guy. Yeah, I mean, it looks like there's plenty of nose types that are available as UDFAs. So, because I think there's 3 names just on this list right here that I've at least seen, and there's probably more that I haven't even heard of. Good evening, fins up. What's up, Franklin? What a legendary day. Yeah. I love the UDFA signings. I'll definitely be taking a look after it on Twitter. And I will be doing some film breakdowns on those guys after I get through the whole draft class. So keep an eye on that. Because I've already done Chop. Already have the Patrick Paul videos up. If you haven't seen that yet, we'll definitely get to Jalen Wright tomorrow. And then I don't know if I'll do like one at a time, like one per day, or maybe I can post multiple per day. But I'm definitely going to try to get at least one. Yeah, I haven't seen Andrew Mayer play, so I don't have thoughts yet. But I'll definitely check out his film, see if he's got anything. Cohen, I know he's a name, but I don't think you're gonna find. I don't think that like I've seen a little bit. I don't. You're probably not finding a starter out of these guys on the interior line. Yeah, Tart can play Nez, be a 0-1 guy. Yep, yep, good draft. I would give it probably would give it like a B overall. You know, like father like son. I'm looking at NFL networks. But yeah, there's a lot of relationships, like people related in this draft. I just hope the O linemen they're drafting are athletic. I feel like you got to be. Yeah, yeah. Well, no, I think there's UDFA's that can make the team. I just don't know. I have to watch their film for me to make a statement that they could start or not. But you love me some UDFA's. Like I thought Kader Kohu. Like I remember thinking like after watching him in the preseason, I thought Kohu could play significant snaps, and he did. At least that rookie season. Like I liked Chris Brooks a lot last year. I think he has a spot in this league. I don't know if he's not like a starter, but I do think he has a spot in the league for sure. Julian Hill, I think it'd be a solid tight end 3 blocker. I don't know what happened with Bo Braid. Like I thought he would get drafted. Like I wasn't super high on him. But I did think he was just limited athletically. Like I don't think he was a great athlete. He was more of a box like run defender type for me. Yeah, because I think the thing is once you get like to later in the draft, like teams like to go after safety and go after like the really athletic types. You know, you're looking for more to like develop, and Braid is like pretty solid, but he's not athletic. What's our weakest link now? Hunter. That's funny. Weakest link. I mean, probably guard. Think about it. Just The edge position is stacked, especially when you get healthy. I would say D tackle's a little better off than guard is. You're fine at off-ball linebacker. Maybe third safety, because third safety, you need a third safety. You really don't have someone that I think could play that third safety spot. Corner, you're good, obviously. Receiver, you're fine, obviously. They have a lot of tackles on the roster. Yeah. Running back, they're good. Quarterback, they're good. So yeah, I would say either interior O-line or the third safety spot. Yeah, right guard, if you want to get specific, probably more the right side than the left side, because Isaiah Wynn proved to be a pretty solid starter for you last season, but he has some injury history. They're talking about Kamara right now on NFL Network. I don't have my head. It's which day 3 pick was your favorite that says down below, so they clearly like Kamara. Yeah, Cam Smith is very important in stepping up because I think he could play a lot of snaps this year as the third corner, with like Ramsey maybe going inside. Yeah, safety was like one of the positions I would have been down to take earlier. I think McMorris, seems fine, but I don't think he's going to play like significant snaps or anything. He doesn't seem like the starter type. Adrian Taylor Demerson they're talking about. I like that guy. Phillips, Chubb, Barrett, Chop, Kamara, Long, Brooks, Walker, Riley's are out. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, obviously a lot of those guys are outside guys, edges, but yeah, it's definitely a nice room. Feel a lot more comfortable with the front. Thoughts on the draft? Thoughts on round 1? Yeah. So thoughts on the whole. I'll just start with round 1 actually. I like Chop. I thought it was a tiny bit reach, at least personally for me, but I understand the pick, and I liked it even more after really going back and even diving into the film even more. I think Chop can actually contribute a little bit right now, but also has a super high upside. Really quality player. Wasn't mad about it. I think the most upsetting thing about round 1 for me is that Fatanu went 1 pick for the Dolphins, and that was like my favorite pick. Round 2, not a fan of Patrick Paul personally. I don't know if that one will change. He obviously needs to develop. I'm going to be rooting for him. And I think, he obviously has a chance. I think it's a very scheme-friendly offense for offensive linemen. And I think, Butchberry can develop guys. It's just I don't know if he'll ever reach the peak that they're expecting. And then I feel really good about the day 3. I loved it. Loved day 3. Absolutely loved day 3. Yeah, Patrick Moore, special teams. How do you feel about Grayson Murphy? I like the Murphy twins, man. Did they not get drafted, both of them? I liked both Grayson Murphy and Gabriel. Oh, we brought in Grayson? Oh, nice, cool. I thought Gabriel was better of the two, but I think I have notes on Grayson. Okay, first thing I said is another intriguing day 3 edge. So I have him as a day 3 guy, obviously, but he didn't go undrafted. Really nice first step. Change of direction, nice twitch to his game, so that's good. Yeah, like he was like more of an athlete. I just thought Gabriel, his twin, was a little more nuanced, but he's a nice athletic edge guy. Needs some better hand placement and holding up versus the run, like a little undersized, not much length, but he definitely has the athletic parts of his game. If you go watch that UCLA defensive front, like they get after that quarterback, and the Murphy twins were definitely a part of it. But I do like Grayson as, did Gabriel get drafted? He should have got drafted. If he didn't, I just don't remember seeing his name. Maybe I missed it. But I do like Grayson. Mark Perry. Okay, yeah. Mark Perry I've heard of. I'm going to definitely watch him. You said he got a nice signing bonus, and he's 4.37 speed. Definitely is a guy. I think just from the top of my head, that seems like a guy would be very likely to make the roster. They signed Peely to a pretty big signing bonus last year, right? And Peely ended up making the roster, so they clearly liked him. And I think just looking at the safety room right now, I think, a lot of those guys will be after the top 2, they're just fighting for spots. Like it's really up for grabs. So if I had to guess the UDFA just currently, like without even watching the film, just seeing the numbers, it would be Perry. But I do like signing Murphy. I think that's pretty solid. I definitely have seen the Murphy brothers play. Florida Atlantic receiver. Okay, interesting. I haven't seen him. But yeah, I like Murphy. The Perry one's interesting too. Yeah, he's a pretty good size athletic guy. I know that. Probably could play some special teams. Usually when you're looking for special teams guy, you're looking for guys with a lot of play speed and that are willing to get physical to make some tackles. And I think he could do that. And that's how you kind of make a roster. Yeah, Gamble's not guaranteed anything. I think Gamble still has a very good chance of making the roster because he's a good special teams player. He has a very good shot. But even then, you're going to keep more than 3 safeties. And they let Brandon and Elliott go. Yeah, Grayson's cool. I gotta check out Mark Perry, Grayson. I'll just look at the list afterwards, obviously. And I will be making videos because I made a video on Gabriel. I don't even have clips on Grayson actually on my laptop, so I'll check that out. Yeah, exciting day. Love seeing some fun UDFA guys to bring in. Let me know if any other UDFAs sign, but I think I might, unless people, have any more things they want to talk about, anything specific. Jean is in a good spot at Philly. Yes, he is. I think he's a great fit for Fangio's defense and can play in multiple spots. Can Patrick Paul fix his footwork? I expect Patrick Paul to look very different the next time I see him because there's no way he can get away playing with the technique at the next level. He is working, Butch Berry did fix people, and he's working with Duke Manyweather. And to me, honestly, Patrick Paul, his hands are even a bigger problem than his feet. I expect him to improve. It's just, will that ever, make him great? I don't know. Because I feel like he'll be better, but I don't know if it's going to be as good as they expect it to be. Gabriel Murray to Vikings as UDFA? Yeah, so they both went undrafted. The Gabriel going undrafted actually pretty surprised me. Because his film was pretty good. I thought like he got after the quarterback, man, and he was a pretty good athlete, and he had a pass rush bag. Like, he was undersized, yeah, but I feel like that's a guy you take a chance on day 3. Favorite pick, probably Malik Washington, because I love Malik Washington so much pre-draft. He was my guy, and they got him like at least 2 rounds later than I expected you would get a player like him. So I would say Malik would be my favorite. But I like all the day 3 picks. I really like Kamara. I really like Taj Washington in the 7th. McMorris seems fine to me. I do need to do more of a deep dive on him, so I'm not really decided there. I like Jalen Wright as a fit as well. And then yeah, those are probably my favorite. I like Chop Robinson a lot. Patrick Paul is probably my least favorite, but but yeah, excited to do the breakdowns. We'll get Jalen. I'm definitely gonna get the Jalen Wright clips here. I have his film pulled up. I just haven't gotten the clips yet for them. I love all the phone calls, man. Have they released all the other phone calls? I know I saw the Jalen Wright phone call was good. That one was good. A lot of the guys seem very likable for the Dolphins that they drafted. Sometimes you see these people and then there's not a ton of personality sometimes, but all the Dolphins guys seem very personable. Patrick Paul seemed very, very personable. I hope Kamara makes people pay, man. I love that mentality. And he plays like it too, so it's not all talk. He plays like he's mad. That guy just plays relentless, and I love it. And honestly, he kind of has some Shaq Barrett to his game, so maybe he takes learns some stuff from Shaq Barrett. Dun, dun. Probably, and out of the UDFAs we signed so far, I will probably be watching Perry and Murphy first because I think I have film on them, and they definitely seem intriguing to me off the rip. And I'll probably watch those O linemen we got in. I wonder who's gonna sign Tagovailoa. I wonder if people will sign with the Dolphins if they'll go that route. It's just do you bring him in knowing he'll probably get cut and then you have to cut him? Does that change anything? Oh, Frank Gore Jr. signed with the Bills. Interesting. Yeah. Usually I like signing UDFA running backs, but I just don't see. Basically, Brooks is the UDFA running back, and I'm sure we probably will sign someone because I feel like you can actually find UDFAs that make the team, like Chris Brooks did last year. But there's really no spots for anyone to make it this year. Chris Brooks had a chance last year with the people on the roster, but with with who's on the roster right now, I feel like a UDFA would have to really stand out to make the Dolphins roster as a running back. Are you talking about Taylor? Leonard Taylor? I haven't heard it. I haven't seen anything on him signing yet. No one said anything. Yeah, Garrett, I said I would grade it as like a B overall. Um, just thinking about it as a whole, I think day 3 really bumped it up for me because I think Patrick Paul kind of took it down for me, and then day 3 definitely bumped it back up. Fuaga's so good. They're showing Fuaga clips on my screen. I gotta watch Fuaga when they're showing Fuaga clips. That guy is legit. And honestly, wouldn't be surprised if I start watching 2025 draft prospects soon. I like to stay ahead, and I like watching prospects. It's always nice to know just ahead of time. I don't watch a ton, but at least know some of the top guys going into the season. It's because I'm addicted, guys. I'm an addict for the draft. They signed Texas Tech Rashad Willis. Interesting. I don't think I've heard of him. But hey, keep signing UDFA guys. Hopefully they're exciting watches. Because I remember last year some of the UDFA guys were intriguing to me. And some of those guys made the roster. Rashad Williams. Okay. What are your thoughts on Malik Washington? Do you think he'll have a place in our offense? Yes. I love Malik Washington, my favorite pick of the draft. I think if the Dolphins depends. I think it depends if they sign someone. If they sign OBJ or like a player like OBJ, then they'll be the third receiver. I think the third receiver spot is up for grabs. I don't know if Malik Washington will win that battle right away, but it would not surprise me if Malik Washington at some point in the season is that third receiver in the offense. He could play slot, or at least plays like some slot role. I think he'll see snaps. To me, I don't know why he fell this far. Maybe if there's something like behind the scenes, I don't know. Because to me, he shouldn't have fallen this far based off his film. So unless there's like something we don't know about him that's like injury related or something like that, I think he definitely makes the roster and should see some playing time considering the wide receiver room after Waddle and Tyreek. Storm Duck signed with the Fins. Okay, I've definitely I've definitely heard that name. UTEP Soup QB signed. Okay, I guess I've seen him play because I've watched the UTEP receivers film. I watched those guys play. Myers, I will be watching. Yeah, Storm Duck. I've definitely heard that name. Did he play somewhere else before Louisville? I feel like I watched him before he was at Louisville. Gavin Hardison. I mean, I have not watched film on Gavin Hardison. I've seen UTEP's offense. I remember the receivers, and I do remember them making some tough catches because I watched a lot of UTEP because they had some receivers that were like late run guys. But yeah, I think I'm gonna go start digging into the film. But yeah, as Ukama is healthy, he'll definitely be involved in the offense because you look at the receiver room, he really is like the only one with like some size, and he has a versatile skill set. And we just look at how he's used last year. They really wanted to get him involved in a very specific way. So I think if he's healthy, he definitely finds a low key role in this offense. I just don't know if he'll put it all together and become like a like fully fledged wide receiver because he's kind of more of a gadget guy right now. Because like to me, Malik Washington film coming out of college was better than Ezukama's film coming out of college. Okay, yes. I saw some Storm Duck play when he was at UNC. That's where I saw him. Yeah, Ezukama is gonna find a role just because he's such a different receiver to the rest of the room. But yeah, I think I'm gonna end the stream and go start watching some of the guys. But yeah, thanks for watching. what a legendary day. We'll definitely. I think once I've watched all the UDFAs, I will do a UDFA stream, like just talk about all of them that they've signed, guys that I like. And then I'll probably do film breakdowns on a lot of them too. Yeah. Later, guys.